On, just for the public that's here tonight, just so you understand our order, we have a workshop meeting, and then we go into our regular meeting where we, I can't think of it, approve
Take
resolutions, take action. Thank you, Lance. Take action. So there are public comment portions, and I'll explain. The first one is based on things that we're going to vote on. And then there is a final public comment portion at the end of the actual meeting where we vote. So, all right, ready to get started. The first thing on our list is a presentation from, I did read it. I read it.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're making me crazier than I am now. Jeez. The first is a presentation from Jennifer Hansen, Sober Living Homes. Is I don't see her physically, so.
She's up there in the left. Yep.
Oh, okay. So Jen, she's up there, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
She just
Hi.
Hi, Jen.
How you doing? My name is Jennifer Hansen. So let me just, so I just wanted to come on here and, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the sober living houses, and I wanted to kind of just educate everyone a little bit on what we do and what we're allowed to do. First of all, I just wanted to kind of give everyone a brief education about the law surrounding sober living houses. So there's something called the Federal Fair Housing Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. And the definition of disability is a person has a disability under the ADA if they have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. Example, someone with bipolar, diabetes, or addiction to alcohol. 2, a history of an impairment that substantially limited one or more major life activities. Someone who has a history of cancer or someone in recovery from illegal use of drugs. So that is the definition of disability from the government, and people that are recovering from addiction are disabled people under that definition. Under the Federal Fair Housing Act, there's a lot of rulings out there on what municipalities can do. So I'm just going to read you a short thing about the Federal Fair Housing Act. It prohibits a broad range of housing practices that discriminate against individuals basis of race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin, and established by the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution. Federal laws such as the Federal Fair Housing Act take precedence over conflicting state and local laws. The Federal Housing Act thus prohibits state and local land use and zoning laws, policies, and practices that discriminate based on a characteristic protected under the Act. Excuse me?
I muted that person who tried to speak.
Okay. Examples of state and local land use and zoning laws or practices that may violate the Act include prohibiting or restricting the development of housing based on the belief that the residents will be members of a particular protected class, such as this disability. For example, placing a moratorium on the development of multifamily housing because of concerns that the residents will include members of that particular protected class. Imposing restrictions or additional conditions on group housing for persons with disabilities that are not imposed on families or other groups of unrelated individuals by, for example, requiring an occupancy permit for persons with disabilities to live in a single-family home while not requiring a permit for other residents of single-family homes. imposing restrictions on housing because of alleged public safety concerns that are based on stereotypes about the residents or anticipated residents' membership in a protected class. For example, requiring a proposed development to provide additional security members based on a belief that persons of a particular protected class are more likely to engage in criminal activity. Enforcing otherwise neutral laws or policies differently because of the residents' protected characteristics by, for example, citing individuals who are members of a particular protected class code requirements for property upkeep while not citing other residents for similar violations. Refusing to provide reasonable accommodation to land use or zoning policies when such accommodations may be necessary to allow persons with disabilities to have an equal opportunity and enjoy the use of housing. So, I mean, that's pretty much self-explanatory, and it really does protect, you know, the houses that we have, and the other sober living houses in the area. I wanted to clarify the record. I know that when Commissioner Landgraf spoke, I think it made it kind of sound like we had 25 houses in Ventnor, and that is not the case. We have 5 houses in Ventnor. And what I'm trying to do with some of those houses is some of them we rent and a couple of them we own. And I'm trying to get out of the rental situations and purchase houses that we can own, because what happens is when there's maintenance issues and I have to deal with a landlord, a lot of times the landlords don't want to keep the houses up to the standard that I like them kept. So I just found that it's better for us to own the houses. That way, if we need to do maintenance on them, we can fix them, and, you know, we're not investing in a house that we don't own. And I have also had met with Commissioner Landgraf previously and brought him over to one of our houses and introduced him to some of the people that live there. And at that time, he kind of said one of the problems that you guys were having in Ventnor was the cluster of, you know, a few houses next to each other. And I understand that, and I am trying to address that situation. I'm trying to move 2 of those houses to other locations, but that's a process of doing that. So first we have to acquire the other house. In the case of the one house that we acquired on Newark Avenue, that house had squatters living in it. They were stealing electric. There was no running water. There was kitty litter boxes with human feces in it, with people living in there. The smell coming out of that house, like that house had been like that. I mean, it took me 9 months to purchase that house. So going back, and there wasn't supposed to be anyone living there. So when we went in with the realtor, we discovered the 2 people that were living there, you know, in totally unlivable conditions. So, you know, to take that house, I mean, we purchased that house. It had an oil tank leak. We had to do a complete cleanup of the oil tank, which had leaked a lot. We had to take like 250 tons of dirt out of there. I mean, it was a lot. And now we're making that into like a brand new house. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful house there.
Jen, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did he mute me again? Oh, can you hear me, Jen?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Not to interrupt you, but I think maybe would be good information for the people here in the chambers as well as on the Zoom call. can you just go over the type of setup that goes on in the recover, in the sober living homes? What step the person is, I think people are, they're not educated in the field if it hasn't walked through their door. So they say, they use certain words and they think the person just like stopped taking whatever the drug of choice was a day ago. So I think maybe if you would explain the process of the road to recovery and the people that are going into your homes where they are. They're not day one of no substance abuse. Also, the setup of your house. Do you have a live-in person that's there supervising? Things like that, I think, because based on the ADA and Federal Fair Housing Act, it's obvious that legally, like you said, I mean, we don't want to have clusters in Ventnor, but the residents and they feel their property values go down, and we, the commission, understand it. But at the same time, I think it's important that you perhaps educate a little bit of the scenario of when these people come into one of your homes, where they are in the steps of recovery and what kind of setup the home has, supervision wise and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting ready to go through some of the differences between like a self-run recovery house and one of our houses. So there's basically two different kinds of recovery houses. One is a self-run house, kind of like the Oxford House model. And basically that's democratically run. There's no one in there that is really in charge. They are all they all vote on everything. And so they it can be good if you have a good group of people, but some of them, if one person's using in there and then another person is friends with that person, they might not want to ask them for a drug test, because it's like your friends that you're living with that you then have to say, can I drug test you, and, kick you out of the house. So sometimes they work out really well and sometimes they don't. But our houses are a little bit different. We don't have live-in house managers because we don't really believe we believe that kind of that gives you that same scenario, is that when you're living with the people that you're managing, you're getting a little bit close and there can be favoritism and things like that. So we have live out house managers that come in our level 3 houses. They come in, or our level 2 houses, they come in 40 hours a week. They take people to do things like help get their driver's license back, go to court dates if they have any, supervised visits for children, get their social security cards, go to the doctor. So all kinds of things like that our house managers help with. They all have to call in every night at their curfew. They have to be in at 11 o'clock on weekdays, 1 o'clock on the weekends, and they have to stay clean. So they all get drug tested. And if they fail their drug test, then they have to leave. And we make sure they get to a safe place. And sometimes that's their parents' house. Sometimes it's the mission, sometimes, but we do make sure they, sometimes it's back to a treatment center or something. But when they come into our houses, they are either have already been detoxed and have gone to some residential treatment. We have 2 different levels of housing. We have like a level 3 house where we have 24/7 supervision, and the people that live there are still in daytime treatment. So they go to treatment from like 8:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, and then they come home. Then they go out to dinner. I mean, they usually go out to the gym. They come home and make dinner, and then they go out to a meeting, a 12-step recovery meeting usually at night. And so it's a pretty full day. And there's one van that takes all the people together to everywhere that they're going, and they have 24/7 supervision. They stay in that house for about 30 days, and then they move into a level 2 house where they can stay for up to 18 months. So if you can kind of see like what happens and why there's demand for more houses, it's because the people that get into the level 2 houses, they stay for a long time. They sometimes stay for anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. And so we haven't ever wanted to not allow them to stay that long, because we feel like that's how long it really takes for someone to recover successfully. So we have had to open more houses to, substantiate the need for, and it's not just in this neighborhood. We have a couple of houses in Absecon. We have a house in Summers Point. There are honestly sober living houses all over the state, all over the country. So it's not happening in just Ventnor. It's happening everywhere, because honestly, the disease of addiction is so bad. I mean, last year there was about 120,000 overdoses and deaths from heroin last year. So if you look at, this pandemic that we just went through and think about how many people died from that, overdosing wasn't far behind. And it's been going on that way for a long time. So, we're not trying to, make it, we're not trying to tax the neighborhood. We're trying to be really good neighbors. We're trying to listen to people's concerns and see if there's anything we can do to make it better. Because honestly, all the people living in our houses they're really trying to put their lives back together. And they are. They're successful at it. So, it's working. We're taking people that were a detriment to society, that weren't paying taxes, and we're turning them into like really good tax-paying citizens that are an asset to society. So, I don't know, it sometimes doesn't affect people until it's the member of their family, but, when it is a member of their family, a lot of them call me, and a lot of them ask for help for their family members, because they know that we run a really good program. And they know that a lot of, they know that the houses are nice, and that they don't want their loved ones going to live in squalor. I mean, there are, and we want to give people their sense of self-worth, to have them living in a nice place. So, I'm seeing some of the lists of questions. I don't know if you want me to go through and kind of address these things that people are.
Some of them you can, Jennifer, that would be great.
Do they pay real estate taxes? So the ones that, if it's owned by a nonprofit, they shouldn't. But some of them we do. And if the houses are rented, then yes, they do. The car situation, normally we have about 5 people per house that have a car. We rarely have over that. Normally we have about 11 people in our houses. All of our houses are licensed from the Department of Community Affairs, as well as from NJAR, which is the New Jersey Alliance of Recovery Residences. So we have to get credited every year for that certification. And okay, well.
It's a lot of repetitive questions. So you've answered some.
Yeah, I'm trying to read through and see.
You need to pay a service fee.
Well, one of the reasons that, we don't put these houses out in the middle of nowhere is because a lot of the people don't have cars and they can't get to work. And so we've tried to keep them really close to businesses where they can easily get to work and get to meetings and ride their bikes and public transportation. So, there have been some houses that have been like out in Egg Harbor Township, and a lot of the people can't make it out there because they can't get around. So that's one of the reasons why we keep it in.
So one of the comments I saw, Mayor, if I can answer that. So there was a comment about the 5 houses. Yes, Hanson has 5 houses. There are at least 20 others that are operated by other people in our city. There's some discrepancy with that number. Jennifer has a different number. DCA has a different number. So we're in the process of verifying that number right now. But that was the number that we had in our code office as of last February, or this past February. So we're going with that number now, but Hanson Foundation just has the 5. That I should have made more clear 2 weeks ago at our meeting, but they are. I gotta stop talking that. You get so entranced in working with Zoom. So that's our number now, but we are verifying that with both the DCA and our code office.
I count about half of that many when, I think I know all of them, so. Yeah, as far as AC having constraints on how far apart they must be, that's unlawful. They actually, that's not a lawful ordinance, and we're in court for that right now. So I guess we can. Did you have a question?
No, actually, I think the biggest concern, if I'm not mistaken, by just saying things and hearing things, and Commissioner Landgraf and Kriebel, they can jump in, is, we understand the laws and we understand you have the freedom to purchase homes wherever, but the big concern is that there's clusters in one neighborhood, that it is affecting because people don't understand everything you just said. I saw some comments, and it's very clear that those people that really, they didn't hear you, they didn't want to hear you, whatever the case may be. So I think that is really the crux of it, is that people don't want 2 or 3 homes on their block, or 3 homes in a 5-block radius. Other than ask you if you look in Ventnor to, or other cities, to spread it out, because that is really, I think, the biggest concern, is that there's too many on one street or in one neighborhood. I could be wrong, but that's what I've been hearing for probably about a year. I think the last time, I think you and I once had a conversation on the phone, and I said that to you. So, and then
we are rectifying that. There are 4 houses very close together. 3 are right next to each other, and 1 is across the street. So 2 of those are moving.
And I think
Are they all yours?
Yeah, the 3 on the 1 block. I think if it's almost, it's like meeting halfway. If you try to not have them 3 in a block, even if, I mean, I know your mission and I understand the need for it, but the big picture of Ventnor and the residents and all the taxpayers, you know, I mean, and everyone has the right to their opinion on how they feel. So if they look at people in recovery in a negative light, we can't change that. All I'm asking is if you could try not to have so many in one spot, because it is affecting the people and especially on a beach block and people that are paying taxes. They don't want, they probably would not want any of them in there, but under the ADA and the Federal Fair Housing Act, there's only so much that what they want they can get. But I think if you really make a effort, you and the foundation, not to purchase or rent so many together in the city of Ventnor, I mean, we're not that big, you know, this is.
2 square miles.
Yeah, 2 square miles. We're not New York City. So I think that, and I think even if that happens, I think people would probably just look at the mission of the Hanson Foundation in a different light. Because right now it's skewed because they just see 3 houses with 10 people in each house. And you know, well, they're in recovery, and most people in recovery, they'll still smoke cigarettes, and they smell it outside, and whatever the case may be. So I really think, as the mayor, commissioners can jump in. I think that is something that I would like to ask on behalf of the citizens that live in the areas when there's a cluster of these sober living homes. It's not pleasable to them, and you know, you and I mean, we can understand, and like you said, unless it's a family member, but God bless them, they haven't had to walk down that road. But they also deserve to have the environment in which they originally bought their home and the taxes they pay basically preserved. So I think you know what I'm saying.
I think that's what Jennifer's.
We're doing that. So you know, the one house that we totally renovated on Newark, one of those houses from Austin is moving there. And then we have another house that we are, you know, trying to finalize that we're moving another one of them. So we are trying to spread them out, and you know, I'm doing the best I can. We also have, you know, we respond to complaints of the neighbors too. I mean, if we get any, we don't have many complaints, but you know, when like someone behind us asked us if we could, you know, not have people out on the back porch smoking, and maybe they could go out on the front porch because there's a big building across the street, and you know, so we did that. And we've cleared out the garages there so that they can go in there and smoke. We don't allow smoking in the houses. So I don't think it's safe. I don't think, you know, it's safe for fire purposes. People keep asking me, why don't you just let them smoke in the houses? But, so we did clear out a couple garages, and we're trying to do what we can. And we try to, you know, ask the people that are living in there not to all have everyone go out at one time, which they, you know, sometimes like to do. So I understand some of the problems, and we are doing the best that we can to address them. If
These are residential neighborhoods, beach block.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you don't know.
Jim, you got to mute the people coming in. There'll be a public portion once.
Yeah, I'm muting
you
as quick as they try to unmute themselves.
Yep.
Okay.
I would just agree with what you said, Mayor. I think it's a very balanced approach that we're looking for and address the clustering, and maybe for the sake of vendor's sake, the total number. But that's a different conversation. I think that the predicament is that there's so little regulation that there's a lot of unanswered questions for us and our abilities as well. But clustering is the main question here. It affects the character of a block when there's multiple homes on a block that have get more residents in there than is typical, and these types of activities. Are they regulated? We're not condoning or proposing any unfair or prejudiced enforcement of any laws. That's not what we're here for. Zero. But we are concerned about the character of our streets and the number in total, and keeping a close eye as what the classifications are that are missing for these types of homes. What are we responsible for our taxpayers as a whole?
I think that the whole idea why I brought up the clustering, Jen, I mean, we're not far from Stockton University. I mean, I think the residents would feel the same way if beach block homes were rented for fraternities. I mean, imagine that. So, I mean, that's like having 3 fraternity houses on a beach block. I mean, so it's just like I said, the people that bought the homes there, that have lived there for a long time, the whole character of the area changes. So, and that's personal opinions and perceptions, and it is what it is. But I think the clustering, I think if that gets resolved, it will resolve part of this. I'll put it that way. Now, it's not that I want to, I don't want to cut everyone off, but based on things that I'm seeing and I'm reading, and we have a meeting, it's up to the commissioners, but it looks, we could probably be here till 3 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning.
I
We
think
don't.
one thing, and I'll say this, and we can end kind of the presentation on this. And Jennifer, thank you. I mean, we had a really good conversation the other day. I had what I would say a good conversation with Assemblyman Mazzio yesterday, discussing the bill that you would propose, or that they had proposed, that would require licensing of all sober living facilities, which you guys have. You have that certification. A lot of the other ones don't. And that may be a mechanism on how we control the number of that, because a lot of the Oxford style homes do not have a certification. So what the Hanson Foundation has done is follow that national model. That allows, and Commissioner Kriebel did some research and actually found a town out in California that says, if you don't have this license, then you cannot locate in our town. That may be a way to handle it, where we do get facilities in our community. They're like the Hanson group, where they do monitor, they have that manager. And I apologize, I thought the person was there 24 hours a day. It's not a live-in manager, Jennifer, right?
No,
Okay.
we have resident peers that are, like leads, but
Staff is always on call 24/7.
staff is always on call 24/7, and
Okay. So I and you had offered this, and I want to put this out there, and we can facilitate it. That Jennifer had offered to meet with residents in each of these neighborhoods and sit down and talk to everybody, get more information from her, get some more. Maybe we do a town hall on this, where there is a way to get. I think the public needs to be a little bit more informed, because some of the comments are just outright against what she just explained. So, some of that needs to get out in a different forum. Maybe it's one-on group meetings. I'm not sure how we do that in COVID. I mean, we're sitting 8 feet apart.
no, well, I'm at one of the houses right now, and I have a couple of the residents here that, would like to say something briefly. I just would like people to see, the kind of residents that we have living in the houses. I mean, people talk about us like we are criminals and, child molesters. And I don't know what people think, but I'm a recovering addict. There's, we're human, and this is part of our human family. Like, we need to all take care of each other. And for people to put such a stigma on, people that are sick, and they need help getting better. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help people get better so they can live their lives. And if you want them to wait until the comment section, that's fine. But I would like to, have a couple.
I want to say something real quick. You
That's
okay with
fine.
that?
Yeah, that's fine, Jen.
Sure.
Yeah, Shirley. Want to come?
Hi, my name's Shirley Gregory. I live at the Dorset House, and I'll make it brief, but I went into treatment in February, and during that time, COVID hit. I live in Bergen County, work in New York City. So the thought of going back there did not appeal to me, and I don't think that it would have helped with my sobriety. So I decided to stay. I never would have thought I would go into a sober living house, and it was the best decision that I ever made. Everyone is so supportive here. And I started off in Absecon, and I was there for a few months because you have to be in sober living for a certain period of time before you can move into the Dorset House. It's called the Step Down House. So I moved into the Dorset House about a month ago, and I truly believe that I would not have stayed sober if I went back to Bergen County and back to, well, I didn't have a career because of working in New York City. And I think what maybe some people fail to realize or understand is that we are a huge part of this community. We are your waiters and waitresses. We mow your lawns. We are nurses. We are pharmacists. We take care of your children. We educate your children. There are teachers. I mean, we have so many different walks of life here. And, you know, we spend a lot of money in this community. And with winter coming, it's quiet here. So, you know, the fact that we are a big part of the spending. I mean, we shop here, we eat out here, we you know, I just really don't think that you have a full understanding of what these houses do for us. Truth be told, 10 years ago, if somebody said they were putting up a sober living home next to my home, I probably wouldn't have been thrilled about it. But now I have a much different understanding, and this affects everyone. I would venture to say that most of the people that are commenting either have someone in their life or themselves could be in recovery, and it touches everyone. And I just wish that everyone would understand that and give us a chance.
Thank you.
You want to say something?
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
How's it going, guys? My name is Ryan Muedrick, and I'm a resident over at 105. And I also work in Margate at Colmar True Value and the UPS store, and managing the UPS store. I know you know me personally, and we talked the other day. You know, some of the things that are actually being said about these sober houses, you know, we do try very hard. Like living on the beach block, we try to maintain like the atmosphere around there, like cleaning up after like everybody out there throwing cigarette butts and all that stuff. We clean up all that stuff. The garbage on the side of the houses, we try to maintain everything we can. There is people that come there drunk, you know, walking down the block, going to the beach, and that's not on us. But we still clean up after them because that's who we are. You know what I mean? You know, this program and Jen Hansen and Terry, you know, they brought me in a year and a half ago when I had nothing. A year and a half ago, I was homeless, living in my car, and now like I'm running a UPS store in a family-owned business in Margate, a very, you know, well-known family business in Margate, and I'm sure so many people even on this Zoom meeting know me just from coming into that store. And, you know, she touched on, or actually I believe Jen touched on being like a stigma and addicts getting a name and everything like this. Like, I'm sure nobody in that area at all would walk in and point me out and be like, oh, he's an addict. Not at all. Because not all of us are like that. You know what I mean? Like we bring a lot to this community. I am so thankful for Jen and this environment and everything, and giving me an opportunity to have a job, you know, to be a dad. I'm a dad now to a 1-year-old son. Like I never would have got this. I probably still would have been homeless or dead. And I just got to say it's an honor to be here. So I just hope you guys can give us all a shot.
Thank you. Bless you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Jen. commissioners, I need a few minutes.
Okay, we're gonna. well, you got the
Mine?
gavel.
Yes,
You're the-
yes.
you're
Yeah,
in charge.
and, if you want, you can stay on. If not, that's up to you. We got a lot to go through, but I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. Um, Motion to take a 5-minute
Motion
break.
motion to recess for 5 minutes.
Second,
Second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
5 minutes, please.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting resumed. Okay.
So,
We don't have any department head reports tonight, correct?
nope.
Okay. And no capital?
Yes,
being
we do.
discussed
Yeah, we do.
tonight?
Yes, we do.
Oh, we
We
do?
are,
Well,
yeah.
that's why you're here. I thought you were here for something else. Okay, we have our auditor, Leon Costello, who is going to talk about our capital.
Thank you, Leon.
Ray, do you want mine? You can have it. Do I want it? I can listen.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's numbers. She hasn't memorized already. Who you kidding?
Just one or off? I think it's
Green should be on. You're good.
Thank you. So Alan asked me to prepare some information for you on where you stand capital-wise. And it would be better if you had this.
Okay.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to have it. Okay.
So
Want
what
to share?
you've seen this before
Yes.
in other meetings when we've been planning stuff. And for the last 3.5 years, you've had an aggressive capital program that you needed badly. You've done many ordinances, you've done a lot of projects. We have the school thing that we did before, which I'll go over also. But this is really focusing on where do you stand with your capital right now. There's several columns that show you your existing debt that you have right now, what's out there. The CDL bomb that was dropped on us is in the purple. And I got 2 sales scheduled, one for $9 million in 2023 and one for $17 million in 2025. So and what this does, it does not generate any more than a penny in any one year in any place along the way. And even some of this will be mitigated by other things that we do that we don't know exactly what they'll be yet, but we will get premiums on bond sales that will go to offset some of this. So this is, and again, the CDL is a 3-cent bomb that got dropped on us for the next 4 years.
Just explain
Yeah,
briefly what that is.
since we have so many people joining us tonight, which is a
Okay.
which is a pleasure and a rarity. Maybe you can let everybody know what was dropped on us when we came into office. in
After Hurricane
2016.
Sandy, the city took a $5 million loan that was theoretically going to be forgiven. And
What year was that? Was in
13 and 14 is when you drew the money down. Yeah. So this money was drawn down by the city, all $5 million. And when it came time, when FEMA came in and investigated what you did, they said that 2.2 million of it you didn't spend what you should have spent for. Not you, none of you were here at the time.
Right.
But the money wasn't spent, was supposed to be spent for. So you had to pay it back. And we tried everything we could to not pay it back, and it didn't work. So we had to pay it back. It's got to be paid back in 5 years, and we have 4 payments left on it. Our plan was not to have this in our budget when we started 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago now. So This is a added item that was not in the pipeline, but after all of the probably 2.5 years worth of battling with them, this is what the result was. So we are paying that back. We went to the state and we applied for what's called a non-conforming maturity schedule for our 19 sale, screw this out. So we wouldn't have all the hit in 1 year.
It would have hit, 2.2 million would have been hit, and all the taxpayers would have had a
Yeah,
huge.
so we
hit.
got that spread out to, less than a penny per year is what we're working on right now. So that was something that was not anticipated when you took office and when we did other capital projects. So combined, there's $26 million worth of room in the next 4 years for bonding aspects. Al had a list of about $7 million worth of projects. I think you're going to.
Right.
So the point was, can that be done and still fit within our plan? And the answer is yes.
Okay.
And what I've done is I've showed you, you go to the next page, there's a $9 million maturity schedule at 2% right now. No bond sales are over 1%. It's unbelievable what the rates are right now. So I use 2% to be conservative. Then in 2025, the $17 million sale and what that would result in. And I also put in here a 20-year issue for what that would reflect. And the difference is going to be dramatic if we go 20 years, because the firehouse will qualify for 20 years worth of funding. So that we may elect to do depending on where rates are. But when I give you something that's usually the worst case scenario, and it usually gets better from what I show you. So I think we're fine with what we're doing right now. And the last 2 pages are just simply copies of the budgets just to show you that the numbers that I'm using for comparison are accurate.
So you basically pushed back the first bond sale until after the CDL is satisfied.
Yes, I did. Exactly.
It's more
Right.
precisely. So
Yeah.
we're getting the effects spread of the CDL spread out, and we're not incurring any more until after.
Right. And then we lose that payment and we start back on our own program.
And they're virtually the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, one more thing that, any more questions on that?
No, good.
This is the school issue that we tackled 3 years ago. And the column I want you to look at is the yearly change column. Even with the $9.4 million school bond that we did, we're going to have tax decreases every year for the next 15 years, pretty much. You can see 34,189, 261. And what I would do is when we come to actually do this, I'll drop some of that 261 down into the next 2 to make them go lower, so forth and so on.
And maybe just briefly, since we, like I said, have a large crowd, I mean, I know when the budget was submitted to we, the commission, the school had 1.8 million of capital improvements in their budget,
Yes,
which was,
you removed
it was
most of it.
absurd because to have the taxpayers pay taxes on that money
In 1 year.
in 1 year on capital improvements that have a life of
Right.
15, 20, 30 years. We then said, no, take it out of your budget, which gave the decrease in the taxes that
The
year
last
for
3
the
years.
last 3 years for the school, and we, the city, would bond.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to add a little.
And
Over to
the
that.
reason that that's the case is because you're a type 1 school, which means that all financial matters of a type 1 school come to 3 members of the governing body and 2 members of the school board, the 5 members of the Board of School Estimates. They make all decisions on budgets and any other finances that are done. So this is a thing you decide to do. Obviously, it's paid off immensely over the past 3 years. It's going to continue to go in the future. So by putting the capital, you did an ordinance for $9.3 million the year that we switched from all the capital being in the school budget to doing an ordinance by the city because it's a type 1 school. They get all the stuff that they need done.
Right.
And we've been saving the taxpayers money for the past 3 years with bigger decreases each year.
Right.
As we've been going. And this will continue to go.
Are these the decreases you're saying here?
Yes.
The yearly change,
Yes.
34, 89, 189.
Yeah, no, we won't take all 261 because we need to drop a little bit down. But this was using, again, a $9 million maturity schedule. we're not going to borrow $9 million because we're going to be paying off some of the notes. It'll be less than that. So it's only going to get better. Remember, I showed you the worst that can happen. It's going to get better than that.
Right, and every point off of it too is a help, the 2-point rate.
Every point.
Every point lower than you saying the rates are coming in at 1.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing.
So,
We're selling the school next year. That's going to happen next year. Okay, for sure. So that'll be in the works. And then the city, the other debt will be in 23 and 25. So we had a sale in 19, 21, 23, and 25. Okay.
And our,
So-
our rating went up, right, a year ago?
Pardon me?
Our bond rating went up too, about a year ago, right?
Yeah, and you get rated for every issue, so we'll be rated again next year for the school portion. So that's the summary of it. It's still on track, still beneficial. You're getting capital stuff done that wasn't being done. You've taken on a ton of stuff since you've been in office, and no reason to stop. So whatever Al has for you, feel
Good
free
to
to
go.
do an ordinance. Yeah.
Good to
Buy
go.
him a drink after this? What is going on?
how much of that last bond ordinance did we use
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. Right.
We spent almost, like 2 million short of what we had.
Right. So the estimated versus actuals are going to be in our favor.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Stuff.
Yep.
Remember, you did 5 ordinances in one night to
Yeah.
get the
Right.
ball rolling on all the capital you need to do.
Right.
And typically, when you do an ordinance, you say, okay, what do you think we need for this? And you put that much and more, because no matter how much you put in the ordinance, it's not till you pay off the debt, does it cost you anything. So if you do an ordinance for $10 million and only spend 8, you're only going to pay off 8.
Right.
Yeah, so it's meaningless how much you put in there. The only thing, if you cut them close and you run over a little bit, then you gotta go back and do another ordinance to get the difference. So it's wise just to do them with more than you need, and then the breakage just take off and you never pay for it.
Great.
That's good. It is good.
Very good. Thank you.
Sounds
Thanks.
good, right, Ernie?
Good seeing you guys.
Same here.
Thanks, Leon.
Good to see you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll continue. The following items are scheduled for action after our workshop. We will approve the minutes from August 27th, 2020 and September 10th, 2020. We have an ordinance introduction 2020-021, and this is amending Chapter 72 of the beaches. So I think this is something we need to get to discuss, correct? This is our beach badges?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this ordinance will increase the beach badges from the preseason amount of $7 will go up to $10, and after May 31st, the seasonal badges will go from $15 to $20. Senior citizen badges will not be increased at all. I don't think, I could, $7 were probably one of the lowest across the state of New Jersey. And besides the maintenance of the beach, I'm sure everybody has seen minimum wages have gone up. So whether it's a beach badge checker or a seasonal help person that cleans the beach at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. while we're all sleeping, wage as well as our lifeguards, they get a small increase every year. So along with salaries and other things, the cost has gone up, and the city of Ventnor is not a wealthy city. We need the revenue. So it will go up this year. Anybody? Commissioner Landgraf, Commissioner Kriebel, we're okay?
Discussed this with Margate, and
I talked to Mayor Ricker today.
so have I. So
Yeah, so they're both.
Margate's-
they're both in favor
yeah.
of doing it together.
Yep, we're doing it together. So it's still going to be Ventnor Margate badges. The fee will be the same whether you buy it here or there, obviously, if it's a dual purpose badge. So, I toyed with, I know personally, it was something I knew we needed to do for the city. At the same time, I know people are out of work with COVID, so I struggled a little bit with it, but all in all, it's something we need to do. We need to be able to balance the budget, and we need to, and it's not to it takes it off the taxpayers. I
It's
mean,
not right.
you know, I mean, so that extra revenue will, I think we calculated $100,000 additional revenue, which is a half a penny on our
Actually,
tax
a
rate.
half a penny.
So this was something that, we actually have talked about this for 2 years with Margate, right? Or 3 years almost.
At least two.
Yeah, so, all right, so we're good with that?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it's something that, even though that our taxpayers and our full-time residents do buy beach badges, we are a town that grows triples in size, and 2/3 of that revenue is going to come from people that are visiting and
Yes.
visiting Ventnor. And this is one way that we can take some of the burden off the taxpayer, and yes, some of this revenue is going to go towards maintenance of the beach, but it's also the collective city.
Right. And
revenue.
it balances out the expense that we have to pay to keep
Yeah,
the
we
beaches.
can't continue to fund the city on fees that are decades old with today's expense rate.
Exactly.
It's not sustainable.
Exactly. Got to balance. And we sold our revenue and beach badges this past summer was the highest. Yeah, because it has gone up every year, and this year it's gone up. Yeah, and it's probably, if we go back further, it's probably the highest it's been forever. But so this will only bring in more revenue. So I
Right.
think this is a definite must that we need to do. So I can move on, gentlemen?
Yep.
Okay. The next is another ordinance introduction 2020-022, and this is amending chapter 143, land use procedures, article 1, planning board. So Lance, you want to give us a little?
I want to hear the mayor explain this.
No, this is your shtick. Give me numbers,
So-
this is you.
Essentially, what we're doing is we're updating our submission requirements for this format of a meeting, where it's going to be both Zoom and hybrid. We're the only town that I'm aware of that does meetings like this. They either do them live, which is kind of hard to do because you got to limit the number of people who can come, or you can do the hybrid, or you can do them all Zoom, which we've been doing. We've changed to this format for our commission meetings. We're getting a lot more people coming on the Zooms. It's easier. They can be at their home in Pennsylvania, they're outside of Ventnor somewhere, and they have a second home here. They can see what's going on. I think we're going to stay with this for the foreseeable future. I mean, I just think it's a great way to interact. So we're going to do the same thing with the planning board. This effectuates that. It requires them to submit digital files that we can put up on our screens, that we can put up on the Zoom meeting, so people can see the plans and the application documents from home.
Right.
It's just an easier way to function in the 21st century.
You make a really good point, because people from out of town that also have summer homes don't know what's being built on their block, but with this digital format, they can chime in on the Zoom meeting and the planning board and see exactly what is being proposed at a house next door, and they're entitled to see what's,
Agreed.
and weigh in.
So that's what this will do. It creates a different checklist and more submission requirements. Either you submit it on a disk or a flash drive or whatever you have, that we can upload to our website. And then I'd love to get rid of all the paper we get.
Right.
We get a stack as board members from that.
Yeah.
We get more than we get for this.
Absolutely.
We went mostly paperless here with our tablets.
Right.
I want to see us do that with planning board too.
I agree.
It's expensive. It's a waste of paper.
The print's too small to have it. That's why I still look at my.
You can make it
paper.
bigger.
You know?
I use the agenda because I got to check stuff
Yeah,
off.
that's what I do. I check it off.
So that's what that ordinance is all about. The
Thanks for
ordinance change.
explaining that. I could have probably handled that one.
You probably could have.
As long as it doesn't talk about variances. Okay, the next part is we will have 2 public hearings, and then we will adopt the ordinances. These are ordinances that were discussed at our last commission meeting, and the one is 2020-019. That's amending chapter 220 of the Code of Ventnor. And this is our water usage rates are going up. Where's Ernie? Ernie's out there, and he explained we needed to do this because of the old infrastructure and the cost. The enormous cost that it costs
Yeah,
every
so
year.
the maintenance of our water system and the one next to it is right after the sewers.
Exactly. Yep.
The sewer and water systems here are old. We've had a lot of breakages, there for a while this summer.
Oh, don't say that.
But last summer, every Friday,
Every
every
Friday.
holiday,
Every
we
hot, yep.
had a water main break, we had a sewer main break. So we are replacing a lot of the money you see going into these bonds
Right.
are replacing these systems. And, we had a stormwater pump.
It's on.
It's on tonight. So for an emergency, we're paying for that. So we'd rather not have to do these in emergency. We want to be proactive. replace our infrastructure, and that's good municipal planning when you do that down the road. So there's costs associated with it, and that's what these rates are there. So we haven't had a rate increase.
In
5
5
years.
years, and we're still lower than we're still lower than Margate, we're still lower than Brigham.
And you know, one of the things that I mean, we were approached right before the election, the first election,
Oh, yeah.
by a water company that wanted to come in and buy our system. And it was, you know, all the glitz, and we'll pay you $40 million
Yeah.
to run your sewer and water system. Sounds great. We don't control when they raise the rates. They buy your system, we pay off all our debt, which is great, but then they can raise your water and sewer rates without even talking to us. They go to BPU, and they say, hey, we had to replace all this. We spent $40 million to repair all this.
Pumps and lines.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like we're doing.
So we would rather have Ernie and Ed work with us and tell us what we need to do and maintain the system ourselves. You know, it was, when you look at it on the surface, it sounds great. They're going to come in and pay for all that and refurbish it all. But then the rates just go. Look at all the towns with American Water and Aqua. Their rates are much higher. So that's why we do have to incrementally bump them up, and that's what these two ordinances do.
Ultimately, that would be bad for the taxpayer.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So the second ordinance, as Commissioner Landgraf just explained, 2020-020 will be our second public hearing and adoption, and that is for the sewer. One's for water usage, one's for the sewer. Okay. The next, we have resolutions that we will vote on by consent, and I'll go through them briefly. The first one is 2020-311, and this is authorizing the mayor of the city of Ventnor to execute a shared service agreement with the Atlantic County Improvement Authority to provide certain project management and other services to the city of Ventnor. We have anything on that?
That allows them to come in and project manage and do inspections for us for our infrastructure projects.
Thanks. What, Maria? Shared services.
Shared
Services.
yeah.
Shared services, there's that catchword. Are you okay with that, Commissioner
county,
Kriebel?
yes.
Yes, okay. Next will be Resolution 2020-312, and that is the state of New Jersey authorizing an emergency repair for drinking water well number 10, not to exceed $25,000.
Ernie, that's where we lost our pump. Motor on the pump, on the well, yeah. So that's to replace the well, the motor that pulls the water up out of the ground, pumps into our system.
Thank you. Commissioner Kriebel, you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. The next is 2020-313, and this is a resolution authorizing the change order final reconstruction of Burke Avenue and Swarthmore Avenue driveways. We'll go with that?
Yep, this was a reduction, overall reduction of $40,000, I believe, $42,910. We didn't have to do some driveway connections to Shalom House.
Commissioner Kriebel, we're good? Next is Resolution 2020-314. It's authorizing the city of Ventnor to enter into an agreement with the Atlantic County along with various municipal users of the Atlantic County radio network. Maria, what is dispatch? Excuse me, dispatch. Thank you. Commissioners, we're good?
Yeah, that one's good.
Okay. Next is Resolution 2020-315, and that is amending the Resolution 116 of 2019, awarding de Blasio and Associates for design and construction services for Kingsley Drive Sanitary Sewer Project. I think that's self-explanatory, correct?
Yeah, it's taking money from that the contractor had to pay us, not finishing on time, to help pay the
For them,
inspection
because they
for
had to
that
be there.
extended period of time. We had to be there, so.
Okay.
Mayor?
Commissioner Kriebel, you're good with that?
Yeah,
Tim.
that's Tim. That's okay.
Tim McGuire.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt. That resolution was not about dispatch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I asked that question. I want to make sure that's not about dispatch. I was told that was regarding the handheld radios.
The 800 megahertz radio network.
That's to continue with that.
Is that the county dispatch?
Is Doug
We-
on
It
here?
says radio network.
It is, no, it says, that is not the general, that is not our dispatch. That's the
Atlantic
county,
County Radio Network.
the county.
Wireless Voice and Data Communications Network.
Right, but when I read that contract, I specifically asked if that was the countywide dispatch, and I was told.
Hey, can I chime in on this one?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And your dog?
Just so you know, every 7 years, we have an agreement with the county. It just basically allows us to go in and utilize the system that the county has set up. All of the cities have this same connection. They have just revamped the system, so we're now all on the same page with 800 megahertz. So what they're doing is restarting up the agreement, the shared services agreement, which we've always had, which we've always used. But now that all of the city dispatches in the county are all on 800 megahertz, this agreement's going back in effect. And what it does is basically allows the cities to use the county channels as well. And for county fire, county police, whenever we utilize them, it's just an agreement to allow us to go on utilizing the radio system collectively as groups for public safety. Basically, that's it.
Based on the backup, Chief, this goes back to 2004.
Yeah, it does, because they hadn't asked it because everybody since then was in transition to going to 800 megahertz. Everybody now is, so they're starting up the agreement again so that we all can join in and share the services like we've been doing.
No.
Yeah, it's not dispatch. It's radio.
It's right.
Dispatch related.
It basically is just the use of radio channels utilizing the county as a central dispatch. Basically, the county has the hardware, the towers, and we utilize those towers as well. We utilize repeaters to get out to their towers and stuff. But that's really all it is now that the county has transitioned to 800 megahertz and every municipality in the county is also that way, they are reinstituting the shared services agreement with the county.
Thanks,
okay?
Chief.
You okay with that, Tim?
Yeah.
No, Tim McGuire?
Me too.
Tim too?
Yes, I'm still not sure I understand, but that's fine. In other words,
We've always utilized a shared agreement. We've always utilized county channels. There was a period of time where other municipalities were catching up, like Ventnor and other cities, catching up to the county, which had 800 megahertz. We are all now on the same system, utilizing the same type of portables and radios under the same frequency. So the county is reinstituting basically the policy of shared services. That agreement allows us to go back and utilize their services that
okay,
we've always been utilizing.
but the dispatchers will still be our dispatchers?
Oh yeah, it has nothing to do with that. Basically, because we are utilizing county channels, county frequencies.
Okay,
Okay, every town now has 800 megahertz capabilities. So with that, we are now utilizing the county setup and focusing all of our radio transmissions through the county, utilizing 800 megahertz.
okay. Thank you.
Has nothing to do with we're all going out to the county and everybody's going to be transmitting or dispatching from the county. That's a totally different subject.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
We're good. Okay, the next is resolution 2020-316, and that's a resolution authorizing an emergency repair for well number 8, not to exceed 15,000.
It's actually we actually have an exact amount now. We got bids from AC Schulte's and a couple others, and the price is gonna be $15,220.
Okay,
This is a stormwater pump, not a well pump,
okay,
but it's at well number 8 to Titusville.
thank you. Commissioner Kriebel, we're good?
Yes, thank you.
Next is resolution 2020-317, and this is authorizing an enforcement for no parking within the city of Ventnor from October 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. Is this just an open end, or is this specific to an area?
It's something that we can do every quarter.
We
rather
do,
than
I got you.
Have to do it for every event.
If there's something going
We're
on.
not- So we're
That's what I
frequently
thought.
doing.
Yeah.
So it's an open-ended resolution, so we
Correct.
don't have to do one
Correct.
prior to anything happening
Save us. a
For
little.
90 days.
for 90 days.
For 90 days.
Legally, you can only do 90 days. Are we on 17?
Yes, yep. Yeah, so it's October to December. Okay. Do we do that all through the year too?
You would do them individually?
Yeah, I mean, every quarter we should probably, right?
This will allow us to do it every quarter.
Yeah,
This allows us to do
okay,
once
good.
every quarter rather
Yeah,
than
and instead every
individually for
time.
all the-
Exactly,
Luckily, we have a lot of events. We did anyway.
right. Not this year we don't,
We'll
but that's okay. We
get
usually
back.
don't.
It'll come back.
Absolutely.
It's not just for that. It's just for any time that we need a street opening. where
Anytime,
we You know what I'm saying? It's more than just having events.
Right.
Yeah, it's anytime.
It's for street closures for construction.
Thank
So that we don't need a meeting, a quick meeting set up for you guys to agree on
Right.
every time we need that, okay?
So more expedition.
Thank you. Next is Resolution 2020-318, and this is a resolution of supporting the state of New Jersey, supporting the Knockout Opiate Abuse Day being October 6th. We've done this
Do it every year.
every year. We're good with that?
Yes.
The next is Resolution 2020-319, and this is a resolution authorizing the disposal of surplus property. It's minor stuff, right, Al?
Yeah, it's just that's after equipment, things like that. Realize anymore, money back for it.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you. You okay with that, Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay. Next is Resolution 2020-320, and this is authorizing discharge and status of a satisfied mortgage for property known as 9 North Washington Avenue. Al, this is that program?
Plans talking about small city funds.
Mhm.
We actually get contact with, who was satisfied. We got paid for it.
Okay, good.
Great.
Looks like it's $8,100 roughly.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank
we
you.
can use that for
Goes back in.
the revolving
For
loan.
small cities, it's grant monies you get through small cities to
Right.
a lot of different things you can do with the money. It's more residential based.
Right.
You can help people with their repair their homes. County manages it for us.
The,
Yeah.
Right.
this particular one.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is Resolution 2020-321, and this is authorizing the submission of a grant application, TA-2020 Ventnor City -00033, and execute a grant agreement with the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Set Aside Program.
So this is a grant application for streetscape on Ventnor Avenue. We've applied for it in the past. We've got shot down 3
Yeah,
times.
you think we'll get it this time?
We're trying. You keep asking and you eventually get it. So they keep getting bumped up. So
Right, right,
we look at, we only fund so many projects a year.
right. So
But
eventually
they're
we'll get,
expensive to do
yeah.
streetscapes. I think people should know that they're in
Yeah.
the neighborhood of $200,000 a block, right?
Yeah, the one that we did on for 3 blocks was $1 million, $1.2 million
Right.
with what we put into. We got $800K from the state,
Right.
DOT, and we put 300 in ourselves.
So if we can get a grant, it's always
Yep.
an improvement to help.
Okay, thank you. Next is Resolution 2020-322, and this is a resolution approving the liquor license renewal for Ventnor Avenue Pizza Incorporated, Santucci. Now, I know we have some things added to that.
Yeah, there's some conditions that we're adding to this.
Do you want to read them, Lance? Or you
Yeah,
want me to read them?
I'll read through the 3 of them. I think the 2 are on everybody's. We added the last one today. Outdoor service of alcohol is limited to 12 a.m. every day. No amplified music may be played in such a manner as to create a noise disturbance for any person other than the operator of the device, as stated in the Ventnor City Code, and is limited to 10 p.m. nightly. Food must be, and this is the one that we've focused on. Food must be available at all times while alcohol is being served. The kitchen can't shut down. Right. They serve alcohol till we allow 1 a.m.
We did. Now this
Yeah,
does
this
noon.
knocks it back.
So we went from 1 to noon to midnight.
Yep.
And clarifying, which was already in the license, that food has to be available.
We just emphasize those 3 conditions.
Right.
Great.
We're appreciative of what they're doing. We had to fine tune it.
Yeah.
To make it work for our city.
Yes.
Mayor, do you think it should say that the kitchen must be open when alcoholic beverages are being served? Because when you say food available, I'm just wondering, like,
We could change that to the kitchen must be open while alcohol is being served. I'm fine with that. You guys go with that? That was Maria's one comment that you had, so.
Chief, does that help?
Right.
Chief, does that help?
Yeah, that kind of gets me what I need, and it helps answer the questions of people that would go in just getting alcohol and knowing that they have to get food, or they have the ability to get food with their alcohol.
Have the ability.
Kitchen has to be open, right? Because
That's-
I don't want them to then say, oh, we do serve food, chips and
Yeah.
we'll
Right.
make
Yeah.
a hot dog.
No, I like that we've taken our time on this and we've done it properly, and that we're throwing these words around to get the right wording. So I think I like where it's headed, and I like where we're at. And
So that item number 3 will now read, kitchen must be open at all times when alcohol is being served.
Correct.
and I think that gets me what I need and satisfies everybody else without making a big issue out of it.
It must be open and operating to serve
Open
food.
and
So that it doesn't turn into just a bar after 10 o'clock, let's say.
Gotcha.
Understood. We'll
All
have
right, I'm going to change it here. So kitchen must be open and serving food at all times when alcohol is being served. Good with that change?
Mhm.
Yes. And the motion, when we get to that, the motion would be to adopt as amended.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for working
Thanks,
through
Deb.
that, guys. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Okay. Next is Resolution 2020-323, and this is authorizing the city of Ventnor to apply and accept a sub-grant award for the federal fiscal year 2020 of the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management Performance Grant Program funding, and for the city chief financial officer to amend the budget and certify the available funds. You have to do a 159, correct?
As long as I have something in writing, that's why I had something in writing. We all have to see that.
Then we'll do the 159. Okay. We go with that?
Yes.
Yeah, these are all functional things that we need. AEDs need to be replaced. Barriers are becoming more and more need. Solar speed limit signs are all hot topics that we try to for lots of streets where we get lots of complaints. So yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Well done.
Okay. Next is Resolution 2020-324. That's a resolution authorizing temporary employment to Tori Hooven. This is for the courts, right? Because we've lost staff and we need, by statute, certain staffing in the courts. We'll go with that.
Yes.
I think she's only there, is it 1 or 2 days a week?
There'll be 2 days when we have some staff out. and
Okay.
then
1 day. Okay, alternate, whenever needed. Okay, great. As needed. Next is Resolution 2020-325, and this is authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement with the city, with the Ventnor City PBA Local 97.
Mhm.
Maria?
Oh, okay, so you want to take it or you want me to?
Tim? Somebody?
I can break it down briefly. I
Yeah.
mean, we're at a decision point when we had to go from 6-hour to 8-hour shifts, and that we were faced with the potential of $120,000 potentially in overtime. So we asked the PBA if they would be interested, and they did bring back a proposal that some were and some weren't to execute a buyback. So the cost of the buyback means that we'll have more officers on the street. We won't have that deficit of short shifts. There is a cost associated to that, but it's going to be roughly $70,000 less than the potential
Of overtime.
So it's
We went from 12-hour
What happened here?
to
12 hours.
8-hour shifts in
Sorry.
order to man the streets because we had a shortage of staff, police officers, temporarily. And
But there are a few
the way
win-wins
the way the
we-
PBA contract reads, if the chief has to cancel vacations, which he will have to do or has done, they are awarded a day and a half for every day canceled.
Right.
So this mitigates that.
I think it was a good solution from both their side and ours. I think it's a good working relation from what you told me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's
And
win-win
then further,
situations.
if someone does take vacation, then somebody's being brought in for overtime
Right.
at time and a half.
It hurts. Yep.
So it's good.
So
Okay.
it keeps us a little stable, more stable, plannable.
Perfect.
Thank you for your work on that, Chief.
Thank you. It was a joint
Yeah,
effort
thank
between
you.
us and the
Thank
union.
you.
Thanks, chief.
There was a lot of moving pieces, and everybody was everybody contributed. So thank you to everybody, including the PBA and the administration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look here, but I appreciate all the work you did. Thank you.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Okay, next we will have the approval of our bills and payrolls over the last few weeks. The next is discussion item. So I think we have trick or treating on the discussion item list. Okay, that's it. So trick or treating. I did speak to the representative that we in Atlantic County have from the governor's office. And the information he gave me is it's a home rule. Each municipality can do as they choose. Nothing's coming down from the state to say that there's no trick or treating. I think there's a memory back after Sandy when I think the governor sitting in the chair canceled trick or treating that year. So at this point, Governor Murphy has not gone to do an executive order that trick or treating is not allowed. I read an article from the CDC and it tells you the activities that are high risk. Of course, crowded parties, any kind of parades. Trick-or-treating door to door there is the risk because you're coming in contact with people. The one suggestion is that the people that want to do it or want to give out candy, they would actually have it set up in their driveway or near somewhere where they could just take it themselves. I don't know. I'm at a loss for this because I don't know. I don't know if the parents and with the children that are small that want to go trick or treating, if it's something. Oh, the other high risk is trunk or treat, which we did for the first time last year, which it was huge. And
we really shouldn't do that.
we're not doing it because that
Put everybody in a line.
it forms a cluster. The kids come right up to the car. And the other thing is we would have been the only place with trunk or treat, and we would have got killed.
So do you know what other towns near us are doing?
I haven't heard anything
I
about
talked to Mayor Becker. They're still discussing it like we are. They have to come to a decision.
it's yeah, I think it's something we need to bounce around a little
What
bit
I
more.
don't want to have happen is nobody else does it.
Exactly.
Another trunk or treat, and then we become
Exactly.
hero
Right.
forever.
We need to know. I mean, you talk to Mayor Becker, I can reach out
I'll
to.
reach out to AC.
Yeah, but you reach out to Marty. We need to we need to be on the same page or one city's going to get clobbered. And then I guess it would be more up to, as I say, self-responsibility. I mean, if parents want to take the kids out, I mean, they say that, they also say costume mask is not a mask.
Everybody gets to dress up as a doctor.
Exactly. So there you go. Or a nurse.
Only,
Yes,
or a nurse. I'm sorry.
There you
I
go.
didn't mean to be-
Yeah, there you go. So,
It's the only
You know.
approved costume.
Right. That's it. So,
Uh,
they do.
For a mummy.
Yeah, there you go. They're specific that a costume mask is not the required mask. Again,
I'm not-
parents, they need to do their job as a parent. If if we decide to let it go, then if the parents want to bring their children out, and then for the homeowners, I don't know if you get to a point of how much do we regulate? I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's just,
I think we continue talking about it, see what other towns are doing, and circle
And
back.
then
We've
we'll
got a little bit,
exactly.
so I think,
And it's a Saturday this year.
oh boy.
I can weigh in now. I'm a no. If there's a potential that there's somebody that's COVID positive and we're getting still COVID positive in the
Right.
area, that is then going to potentially walk door to door in a neighborhood. And we've traveled the whole Heights with families and go from one end of the Heights to the other.
Right.
And if there's a potential for us to spread, I don't think we're there yet. I think we have to come up with different alternatives in the area, but I'm willing to listen.
I'm leaning that same,
I can't see how you could.
I'm leaning that way, but we're open to ideas.
Yeah, there could be a creative alternative to have some type of less fun alternative, but to potentially put someone that's COVID positive or multiple people that are coming from out of town. That's COVID.
Oh, I know in the Heights, I mean,
Okay. Can I chime in on this?
Sure.
I think we're missing the bigger picture here is that we have a school right now that is running on the fact that nobody has any COVID and that we're not taking any chances. That's why we're doing a hybrid. I really think we need to look at the bigger picture here is that for 1 year, we can say no to Halloween so that nobody takes the chance. We don't have 50 different people touching 50 different candies. I think we just got to really step up and say, yeah, this isn't the year for Halloween. I mean, are we really going down that road? One kid gets sick, one kid goes to school, one kid gets COVID, the whole school shuts down. We've got to mitigate and we've got to stop taking chances. And I think people just have to say, okay, we're going to take this serious and we're not going to have Halloween for a year. And we're not going to give out candy door to door because we're going to be increasing the chances of the potential spread exponentially. I think we have to look bigger than this. I think we have to look at what it could do if one kid gets it, goes to school. I mean, you're talking about a whole community here. And I think you may find out that most parents would rather, maybe not have their kids go out for Halloween and not get sick and maybe just do what we've been doing for the last 6 months and be mature about this and listen to what the CDC is saying. And this is kind of a risk that we don't need to take.
I say we have
in
a
my
virtual
opinion.
Halloween the day after.
And I'm just saying,
That's
and
right.
it's a public safety issue. I don't want to pull the chief card, but it really may come down to that. I think we really need to stand firm and stand together on this. And maybe some people, when they come up and speak about anything else, they might want to just chime in and say, yeah, maybe we don't need to have Halloween this year. It's a bogus commercialized holiday anyway, in my opinion. And we've got a pandemic going on. We've got to be real about this. Just saying.
And you're
Good point.
good point, because I mean, the children in our school, they are literally in corners so far away from each other with the mask on the whole day.
Now, if we're that concerned, and I'm talking about ideas, I'd like to work with the school, and maybe we could do something where the community as a whole donates, households drop off maybe bags of candy, and we make individual bags of candy for our students from like 4th grade down, and hand them out to them and let the parents determine what they eat, and everybody gets a little taste of Halloween. Something like that. We're smart people here. We can think of ways around this without actually having to put our kids and our citizens in harm's way.
An outdoor giveaway at the school the day before Halloween.
Something like that. I mean, just we're like I said, I'm sure there's people out there that are thinking of ideas of ways to do this. Let's put our heads together. We've got a month, and I just think we need to let people know ahead of time, a month in advance, we're not doing Halloween this year. And maybe we'll be the trendsetters. Maybe people will, and I think you're going to find out a lot more communities are at this quandary right now thinking of what do we do when the obvious answer is we don't have Halloween.
Yeah, I think
that really is the obvious, easy answer.
Ocean City canceled their big Halloween parade for a while. They've already canceled that. Doug, can you get the number of the children from pre-K, K first?
I'll ask the board president.
Can you do that for me?
Yes, I can.
For us, actually? Okay.
And like I said, I think we should really just think of it that way. And the more time we give parents to help with the grieving children over Halloween, I think rather than a week before or a day before canceling it, I think now's the time to say it. Unless we find a cure and everybody's miraculously okay within the next month. But I think the right way to do it is, hey, we're not doing it this year. That's just me.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Okay. We have nothing else on discussion, right?
Nope.
Okay. Tim McGuire out there?
He was.
I know. I see his.
No, I am. Tim McGuire is out here.
Oh, hi, Tim.
Hello.
Tim, if we do not allow, if we choose not to allow trick or treating, is that something we actually have to do a resolution?
No.
No, I don't think you have to do a resolution. That can just be a decision. But I agree with the chief. You should try to publicize that as much in advance as possible.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
you.
We don't need to make it here at this spot. We can do
Exactly.
that, just like we canceled the parade.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Good enough. All right. So we're going to move on. So the next is the public portion. However, this public portion for everyone on Zoom and in the chambers, this is the time when you you can discuss anything that we're going to vote on. So everything you just heard me read, the ordinances, the public hearing, we're going to have, that's actually a chance that you can talk on those specific ordinances at that time. That is this time. This is not the public portion to discuss any other item. That will come at the very end of the meeting, okay? So just a little bit, I know we have a large amount of people on Zoom tonight, which is wonderful. We do have a nice amount of people here in the chambers, so we do limit it to 3 minutes per person. And if you want to speak, if you're in the chambers, you come up to the microphone. If you're on Zoom, our techie, James will tell you what to do. You state your name and your address, and then you begin to speak. Okay, so do I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now it's open. I'll start it with the people in the chambers. I think that's probably the easiest. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on anything that we will be voting on at our regular meeting? No. Okay, I don't see anyone, Jim, in the chambers. So is there anyone on the Zoom call that wants to speak on any of the items that we are going to vote on?
If there's anybody on the Zoom call who would like to speak on any of the items that are being voted on, please use the raise hands function within Zoom or recognize yourself in the chat feature and you will be recognized. But again, only the items that are being voted on.
You lost your turn. No, go ahead. I have somebody in the chambers. You can speak
Yeah, hi.
your name, your address.
Jeffrey Jaskell, 104 South Nashville. I just wanted to speak in favor of the beach badge discussion because I know that in addition to all the costs, we are also very inexpensive for beach badges relative to other communities that we essentially come out and local to us. So we were way low. And now we have an opportunity to gain some revenue for the city. The Citizens Advisory Committee has strongly been in favor of this for a long time, trying to come up with some ideas to help the city gain some revenue.
See, we listen to you.
Takes us a while, but come on.
We're excited. I think I'm very excited that we have an opportunity to
The
actually.
beach badges are going up.
So,
Thank you.
And you
Thank you
kept
for
it on the
your-
agenda at every meeting. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for,
Top of the agenda.
yeah, thanks for you and everyone that's on that committee for your dedication over the last few years. Anyone out there, Jim?
Yes, I have a Rona Schwartz. If you'd like to unmute yourself, you can speak.
Hi, my name is Rona Schwartz. I have a residence at 5000 Boardwalk. I'm just speaking on the Halloween part at the moment. I think it's really important that we do follow through and not do anything with the kids this year. I'm an administrator in Philadelphia for 33 years now. And we're telling the children to be safe. We are telling the parents to be safe, but trick-or-treating is not safe right now. You can do a Zoom Halloween party in the classes. You can do a Zoom dance party in the classes. There's a million things you can do, and parents would love to be able not to be the bad guys for a change. So the administration or the school boards or whoever takes the responsibility of saying we're not doing it, parents take something off their shoulders. They feel a little bit like, okay, we're not the bad guys. It's okay. We'll do it next year. And we're keeping everyone safe. We're now getting ready to be closed in again, and we have to be careful. We don't know what's happening out there right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parents won't be the bad guys, but I am a mom, so I'm sure my 7-year-old grandson won't be too happy with it. But then again, I'll buy him all the candy he wants. Anyway, but thank
So
you.
am I.
Thank you.
I'm a bubby, and I understand that. So 100%, I agree with you.
Yes,
Thanks, Rona.
thank you
Sure.
very much. Anyone else out there, Jim?
Anybody else wish to speak on any of the items that are being voted upon? Please,
Therefore, Halloween's gonna get tracked.
please recognize yourself and you'll be recognized.
Anyone else again?
I do not see anyone.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to close public portion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to close public portion? Do I have a motion to close the workshop portion of the meeting?
Motion to close workshop.
Do I have a motion to, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I call to order the regular portion of the meeting and get started. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 27th and September 10th regular meeting? Lisa, was I there for both of them? I was. Yes, I was. Okay. Do I have a motion for August 27th and September 10th?
Motion to approve minutes from August 27th and September 10th.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kribel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2020-021?
Motion to introduce ordinance 2020-021.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kribel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2020-022?
Motion to introduce ordinance 2020-022.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kribel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2020-019?
Motion to open public hearing on ordinance 2020-019.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's now open to the public. If anyone would like to speak specifically on this ordinance, and this relates to the water usage rates going up slightly. This is the time for only that. Jim, is there anyone out there?
Does anybody in the audience wish to speak or question the ordinance in regards to the water rates? Please notice in the chat or by raising hands within Zoom, you'll be recognized. Nope.
No? Okay. Do I have a motion to close public hearing on 2020-019?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-019?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-019.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kribel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Next is the public hearing on ordinance 2020-020. Do I have a motion to open to the public hearing?
Motion to open public hearing on ordinance 2020-020.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. This is the public hearing on ordinance 2020-020. This is the rate increase for the sewer. If anyone would like to speak on this topic. I have no one in the chambers. Jim, do you have anybody out there in Zoom?
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on ordinance 2020-020? I do not see any.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close public hearing portion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-020?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-020.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kribel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Next, we have the resolutions 2020-311 to 2020-325. These are resolutions we will vote on by consent. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt resolutions 2020-311 to 325.
Do I have a
As-
second?
Hold on.
Oh,
And-
that's right.
And 322 as
As
amended.
amended?
Then, right, kitchen must open.
Yes.
Must be open and serving food on all times while alcohol is being served.
All right.
Got it.
On your game.
Did you do the motion?
Second
Larry?
motion?
Oh, thank you. Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kribel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Al, will you give us our bills and payrolls to be approved, the amounts?
Beth, could you have Al come to the microphone so everybody could hear him, please? Thank you.
Do a little walk. Grab it.
Thanks, Al.
No problem. Okay, for the bill list this period, we had bills in the total of $2,298,869.25. And for payroll this period, we have $558,162.52.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve bills and payrolls stated from our CFO?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kribel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Do we have any announcements for safety reports? We're good?
Nope.
Lance,
Save
we're
my
good?
comment.
Yep.
Okay. Next would be
Commissioner comments.
Commissioner comments.
I got something for that, yep. Thank you, Mayor. As hopefully everyone's aware, this winter or this fall will be our beach replenishment. Great Lakes, I think, is the company that was awarded the contract. They've already started mobilization. Some of their trucks, they're not using our access at Suffolk Avenue this time. They're using all Delavan Avenue and Margate. I think because we asked them, and they're rebuilding it for us as part of this project. Right. They're going to rebuild that concrete ramp up over the boardwalk at Suffolk Avenue. So they won't be taking their trucks over there because they don't want to rebuild it. So they're starting that mobilization. They will start doing their surveying from our pier to the border with Margate. We will be first, and then they will work into Margate after that. No real sand is anticipated to be pumped onto the beach east or north of the pier, of our pier. Most of our work will be done between those two piers. They will be doing work on some of the walkovers and some of the dune reshaping, and even some of the slope, the beach slope reshaping. They will reslope some of that. As everybody's well aware, our erosion this year was between the two piers, pretty significant. The sand's there. If you went to those beaches at all this summer, that sand is about 50 yards off the beach. You had a sandbar there and made life heck for a lot of our lifeguards. We had a record number of rescues this year. But that's what caused a lot of that, is that sand bar being offshore and creating that gully. This will hopefully solve that problem for at least a year, maybe two, and then it comes back. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Nature.
We've asked them to look at solutions for that. Ed Stinson met with them. I was on the call for a bit of it as well. We've asked for a lot this year from them. We've asked for a lot of walkover replacement, the concrete ramp at Suffolk, as I talked about, and some other things we've asked them to fix throughout the process. So that's going to start in the next 2 to 3 weeks, pretty heavily.
Great, thank you.
A quick one question. The Suffolk ramp, does that mean that the boardwalk's going to be closed?
They'll have to work around that. Yeah, at times it will be. When they get to that final work, we're going to have to work around that. They're going to coordinate that with Ed.
The ramp coordinate is it starts and stops the boardwalk.
Correct.
In that area.
So what'll have to happen
for that?
Yeah, when they pour that, we'll have to shut that portion down.
Okay.
We've had that. We didn't do that when we had we had 4 sections where some of the piling were rotted out.
Right.
We had to close them down.
Right.
It helped that we did some of that while the boardwalk was closed.
Yeah.
Completely.
You could always put a Mack truck on there like that. The first year, remember the truck drove down it? That stuff.
Yeah, the semi. Yeah. Yeah.
Just one little click from best route to drive or best route to walk.
Walk. Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
That's what the guy
mayor's
did with the
talking
truck?
about in 2017, 2016, 2017. We had a tractor trailer enter the boardwalk in Atlantic City and drive all the way to Margate.
GPS.
To the
on
end
the
of our
boardwalk.
boardwalk.
And then couldn't get off because the radii at Albany Avenue where he got on, he could turn and couldn't get off. So we had to, luckily we had the beach replenishment guys here. Walters Marine actually set up in between the boardwalk and the ramp all of their lumber.
And
So
then
they
they
could
had to
actually
take
make
the
a
rails
radius, took out all the railing, take down all the railing. It was, we sued the company. They paid us for the overtime, but not for any damage.
Right.
We couldn't prove that truck did it. So
Right, I remember.
it was comical
Interesting.
in a way, but disturbing in many more ways.
Yeah, at that point. Okay.
Thank you.
I have
Yes.
two things. I just want to update thank you, Mayor, the mayor and the commissioner on the door project. So we met today with the architect and Ed Stinson and our illustrious chief Biagi and the IT department, and broke it down to a point where we're going to be doing this in phases so that we can keep this moving. That if you take a minute and walk down to the I guess the west side of where there used to be a VFW station. The east side would have those doors were all replaced, and the phase 1 would be replacing the doors on this side of the building on the second floor.
Right.
And that can be done pretty quickly. It's ready to go. And that would bring the electronics up to speed and the safety and security of this of this floor up to speed. The phase 2, which is going to be a little bit more involved, is going to be the first floor. We came up with some really good, I think, programs that would update the building, not just the doors. And we're having the architect look at this as a more comprehensive program, so that when people come to the city hall, that they have a wayfinding. So, we're potentially have a millwork entrance at the Cambridge Avenue side, so that's our most secure entrance now, which we have become used to during COVID to enter during that from Cambridge Avenue, and all the doors. So there'd be a reception area there that we could, instead of the ugly gates that we closed, right? We would also potentially consider putting a sign on the Cambridge Avenue side, like an electronic sign that we have at Station 2, that would sort of indicate to people that's where you're entering. And it doesn't have to be an electronic sign, but I think that's part of the conversation. It could just be simply a memorial sign that's saying that this is an opening.
But certainly I don't have with the digital is the light.
Right.
Light from it.
Okay.
Houses are really close proximity there. And those digital LED signs give off.
They do.
A fair amount of light.
They do, and we'll be sensitive to that. So that's early days in that
Right.
conversation.
I like that, yeah.
But the idea of having that entrance be more programs for the public, new doors throughout the first floor that would include, it would be matching to the doors upstairs, and they would have, and exterior doors would all be for emergency access and fob access, working within the historical guidelines of the city. So that's a bigger, heavier lift to make that, but I think signage is important.
It should be.
It is.
Just pop it into it.
Because right now it's just kind of something that has been ignored, and now we have, other cities have security issues, and our city is a little bit behind that, I think. So we're going to get a proposal that might even include an electronic directory downstairs instead of the one that is, nice, but no one's ever seen it. You can barely walk by. There's an there's a cast directory that tells you which city.
No, I know. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, get rid of it. I got you.
All right. And
I
that's,
don't want to lose the old sign. I don't want to lose those.
no, in fact, we talked about maybe even recreating them, but in a better format. Because right now they're kind of like made by street signs and like Parkway Green.
Right.
So that could be.
We like
Yeah.
green, but not
One thing
here.
I would ask, when they take these doors off, keep them.
Oh, these doors, well, yeah, we'll keep those doors, but the main, and that was another comment, all the double doors, which are really the historical oak doors here, those wouldn't be changed.
Okay, good.
But the sort of the rank and file doors from the offices, they would all be kind of unitized. And we'll have a chance to look at the presentation to say, this is what we want. We'll keep
There's
those.
like some of the doors downstairs,
Yeah.
they're original.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Beautiful.
replace them.
Yeah.
Auction.
Yeah,
They're beautiful.
yeah, you could. That's a piece of Ventnor history. That's right. And then just one real brief, more water cooler conversation. I bumped into Bill Crothers today, and he's doing his audits, which is the additional tax revenues from year to year. In 2012, in 2017, our audits were around 12 million. In 2018, our audits were around 14. In 2019, they're around 17 million. We're on track this year to be 20 million dollars, and that is beyond, and that's still within his words, potentially 20 houses that are still under construction that would become to full completion by the end of the year. So even though we have lots of positive news on it, I think we still have to keep our eye on the ball and reduce costs and increase revenue. But this is good. This is good news for us.
That is good.
Okay,
That's all.
we're good.
Yes.
So, the next is our public comment portion. This is where the people in the chambers as well as Zoom, this is when you can, you state your name and your address, and this is when you can talk about anything. Like I said, there's over 100, we're dealing with over 100 people between the chambers and Zoom. So if you state your name and your address and you say what you have to say, I will add a little color to this before we get started. Earlier from the beginning of the meeting when the presentation was done and I could see whatever messages and things that were being said. I don't know what happened when I took a 5-minute recess. I could just hear people talking. There's enough ugly in the world. There's enough ugly in the world. So let's all give due respect to whether it's the commission here, the people sitting next to you, the people on Zoom. We all have the right. We all know the Constitution. Everybody knows the Constitution. Say what you have to say. Leave out any negative words or comments. This is not what this meeting is about. We, the commission, understand the residents and your concerns. We know you pay taxes. We know if you're a second homeowner, you pay taxes, you don't use our resources, your children don't go to our school. We know this already. We respect you and what you have to say, but what I saw coming through on the screen was just not nice. And as the mayor of the city, the commissioners and I and our whole team, our police, our fire, our clerk, all our department heads, our CFO, our administrator, Maria, we have worked hard over the last 4 years, and now we are in for another 4 years to do everything we can to make Ventnor better. This is a situation that, in your opinion, it may not be the best, but I think Jen Hansen, thank you, she explained there are laws. Like I said, we all know our constitutional rights. Well, there are laws that you can and cannot do. So we understand the people and your frustration. We get it. What I will not have in our city and under our direction, and I think the commissioners are on board, is it's not going to be what I seem to either see in the news or in the paper or a magazine. It's just there is enough ugly in the world. I don't want ugly tonight in this public session. Commissioners, are you on board with me?
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. Thanks
Okay,
for making that
so,
clear.
yes, so you can say what you have to say it respectfully, say it, and don't, people need to stop judging. Nobody has the right in my world to make judgments. So we understand your concerns, but be kind. We need a little more kindness in this world. So do I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll start with the people in the chambers, Jim, if you don't mind, because it's easier. They're right here in front of the people that are comfortable at home or wherever. So is there anyone in the chambers that would like to speak? You can get up to the microphone, state your name and your address, make your comment, and then please be seated. Because another thing, this is not,
It all down.
yeah, Stacy, bring it all the way down. It's not going to be a back and forth with
Gotcha.
we, the commission, and the resident. You can say what you have to say. Lisa, it's all recorded. Yeah, so like I said, say what you have to say. It's not gonna become a discussion. We'll be here till 3 a.m. Everything is recorded. If there's a need, also, if anybody wants to meet with myself or Commissioner Kriebel or Landgraf, you call the office and you can set up a one-on-one meeting. So this part of it is basically your name, your address, state your, whatever you want to state, and then please be seated. And that's the same for everyone in here, and that is the same for everyone on Zoom, okay? Okay.
My name is Stacy Jaskell, 104 South Nashville. It's so hard with the mask on.
You can put it down and talk.
Yeah, I think I'll do
Talk.
that.
Okay.
Much better.
Yes.
So I'm the president of the North Beach Residents Association, and I just want everybody to know that I personally support, recognize, respect, and honor the right of these sober living houses to exist, the need for them in our community, the work they do for our community, and the contribution they make to our community. In my discussions with the North Beach group, the members of our association, nobody has ever expressed anything other than that to me. If they have other opinions, I don't know about them. So we have support for the sober living house and having them be part of our community. I think it's also established that the Hansen Foundation runs a very well organized, that the mission is excellent, that the houses are run in a way that makes them be good neighbors and all of that. So there's really no issue there at all. That's not the issue. The issue is this. So we've spent 12 years changing the perception or trying to change the perception of the North Beach section of Ventnor, which also helps change the perception of Ventnor as a whole, as a residential, desirable, family atmosphere in which to live. And what I see now is that there's a focus, a real focus on our section of town and on Ventnor in general for sober living houses. And I think that there is the concentration and having them all be together changes the very nature of our residential neighborhoods. And that's not a positive thing for Ventnor. And I understand all the protections and all of that, but what's happening is the reputation, the perception becomes the reality. And if we are perceived as the center of social services, social service homes, then we lose our identity as a residential community. And I have a real, that's really the biggest issue for me. There are 25 homes that we have talked about. I believe there are actually many more. I have heard about more from other people. People are telling me about homes that are not on anybody's list. I don't know who's operating them. It's not the Hanson Foundation, I don't think. It's other groups. They're not all reputable. They're not all operating them properly. And so we have it's just there are, I think 12 I counted of the 25 just in the North Beach section. So the focus of us being a social service center, it changes the entire nature of our community. And that's what I have an issue with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
My name's Fred Furman, 112 South Nashville, and I would certainly second what Stacy just said. But one other thing I would urge upon the commissioners. I listened tonight, and what I took away from this was almost a sense of defeatism, that there's nothing we can do, shrug our shoulders, we're stuck. And I think that attitude is one that's really not very helpful to the community. I think there are things that can be done. I think there's a duty that exists to preserve the neighborhoods. There's things such as safety. There's parking. When Jennifer says she has a minimum of five cars in a house with a minimum of 10 people, I think about the beach block. Where are these cars going to park? This is something that you deal with this all the time. Safety, you have people smoking out on these porches. I have no idea, and I'm not sure that you've ceded or you've lost the opportunity to govern, the fire safety within these homes. I don't know, but it's certainly something that should be of great concern here. Likewise, the fact there are the cluster that exists, 4 homes within probably 500 feet of each other, and she acknowledged that she was going to do something. But right now, anybody could come in. So this could become the sober living home capital of the East Coast. You can't just sit back and shrug your shoulders and say the law is stopping us. The law is not stopping you. There are ways within the law to preserve the neighborhood and protect the residents of this neighborhood. And at the same time, these are legitimate services that are being provided in these sober living homes, provided they're properly run. Nobody disputes that. So please, I'd ask you to consider.
We didn't do that. So yes,
If I could just-
we didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to comment on that, not giving up.
No.
I've been, I don't want to use the word fight this. I've been working on this for a while. One of the good things that I think came out of my meeting with Assembly Mazzio yesterday, and even discussing it with Jennifer and her mom, Edwina, the bill that Mazzio had proposed required these facilities to get either licensed or certified. I'm not sure the technical term, but it's one of those two. There are a lot of them in town that cannot get that certification because they don't follow those rules. So that is our way to weed out the bad apples, if you will, and then also possibly reduce the number. If we can, and my goal is to work with Senator Mazzio, Senator Brown, Hanson Foundation to get this bill tweaked where it also protects us a little bit more. But what I can't put in it is limit of numbers, and I cannot put in the radius that Atlantic City's trying to do. That's just costing them money in the lawsuit.
Well,
So, and
that-
we're
that
not
one-
gonna, I'm not gonna go back and forth. I just want to tell you where I am
I
at.
appreciate that. That
So,
remains to be seen.
We're,
But
we're
things like,
working
like
on,
sprinklers that the boarding homes have.
well, but that's exactly what Jennifer said today. She said, unless that's required in a single family home, they cannot be required in a sober living facility.
Of course, well, I understand, and it goes back to the exclusion that is
Exactly.
section F.
So we can do fire inspection.
But
That's
again-
the one thing we can do.
I think the legislature has to be dealt with as well.
That's where we're working.
Again,
That's who we're working.
it doesn't make sense.
Right. There's got to be a balance.
Right. But
Life's a balance, and,
I
and
mean,
that, and
again,
we hear you.
I think you understand it. I think Stacy said it very well, and nobody's saying sober living homes are terrible, that people shouldn't get service.
You might want to look at the chat.
The chat, yeah, you didn't see that, my introduction into this section was because of what I was saying in the chat room.
I don't know, Jennifer, but I can tell you there are people out there who run sober living homes who I assure you do a horrible, horrible job.
And
That
they do a
jeopardize
great
the
job.
neighborhood as well
You're right.
as the consumers.
Right, you're
Thank you.
absolutely right.
Thank you.
I thank you very much. Anyone else here in the chambers that would like to speak? How are you?
Hi, I'm Jordan Jacobson. I live at 1 South Hillside in North Beach area, Ventnor. I'm going to speak from personal experience. The people that are in recovery, from my experience, and I'm in recovery myself, and I've also been in sober homes that are not like Jennifer Hansen's. I would have given anything to be in a home like hers. But people in recovery and the people in this community that are in recovery tend to be really concerned about how everyone feels about them. Right? They've been through a very demoralizing experience, and they do everything they can to work extremely hard, be a productive member of the society, do all the things that they're supposed to be doing. And this is a great place for them to be. And we should welcome them with open arms. We should. I was brought up to take care of people, to give back to humanity, to help others. And if no one didn't reach out and help me, I would never be standing here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
can take
Samantha Loyal. Hey. Yeah, so 1 South Hillside as well. And I just wanted to kind of talk for just a brief second and then take a seat. I am part of the cluster of people, per se. I think that was the word that was used, that lived in that house for 16 months. I am a member of society today. I mean, I pay my taxes like everybody says. I have a beautiful baby boy, and I work in this field, and I try to give back what was so freely given to me. Now, I'm not trying to pull on everyone's heartstrings or discuss the emotional content or value behind recovery. But I definitely was in that house, and it's extremely well structured, and I am a product of that environment. I work in the treatment field now, like I said, so I am here to answer any questions that anyone has about any level of sober living, who runs it, and any type of questions. I'm very up to date on this. So I am here. I'm willing to answer questions, and I just wanted to say I'm very honored that I get to be here tonight in front of everyone, and I hear everyone's concern, and I think it must be very difficult to deal with those things. And if I can help in any way, by maybe answering some questions or validating these concerns, please feel free to grab me whenever you can. So that's all I have. Sorry, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? You had one person from the family. You can't do a double. I'm teasing you, Jeff. I'm teasing you. I'm teasing.
My name is Jeffrey Jaskell, 104 South Nashville. And the biggest thing I want to add is we don't really know in North Beach exactly what we have. We've had all sorts of numbers. It looks to me like there's 4 levels. There's sober houses, there's halfway houses, there's group homes that are running a different model, and then there's rooming houses. And I think it would do us as a town, a little bit better if we got the word out as to what was what, because I believe personally that we came up with a list of 5 or 6, 2 of which I have absolutely confirmed today, of homes that are not on the list, but are group living arrangements of some sort. So I don't know, and I don't know what the rules are, because, okay, if the Hansons are living by the rules, but if someone else isn't living by the rules, we need to help them as a town live by what the rules are. Right. There are homes that don't look like homes, so they don't appear to be a residence. Right. There are homes where people are afraid to announce themselves from the other side, because if you're the one full-time resident who lives on the street and you complain enough, the folks that live in the other house will know that you're the complainer, and that sort of singles you out in a bad way. So I know this on behalf of us at North Beach, we're at least trying to get a list to give to you guys that sort of tells you, can you help us out with not only what are the sober house and the rules as we've done tonight. It's been a great sharing of opportunity, but can you tell us the other ones so that we really know? Because as far as I know, for example, rooming houses in Ventnor are not permitted.
Right. Airbnbs are.
Yeah,
right, I know.
But
yeah.
But an Airbnb is not a single room rented for a week to somebody. And if we could do a better job, perhaps, of what those, you guys can issue out on the sites or give to us what these groups are, we can do a better job of helping tell you what is what.
So the reason I reached out to DCA, we don't issue the COs anymore. They took that away from us several years ago. So that's why it's hard for the city as a municipality to track these. So what I did, I reached out to Rob Long, as I said, he gave me actually someone who does their inspections for them. So I'm getting with them. They gave me a website, which was really hard to understand, to see and you can put in your county and drill it down. I couldn't find the right numbers for us either. So I have to call back to them and find out. They don't make the stuff easy to find.
And you guys know, you in theory know some degree of how to get around the system. The rest of us are
I make phone calls now. If I can't figure it out, I call the guy who wrote it.
Yeah, but at least you know who to call. Yeah. Okay, we have we have Google, and that doesn't necessarily lead us to the best spot.
No.
Neither does Alexa.
So we're working on that aspect to get a finite, correct, accurate list of all the types of group living. So the rooming house you talk about, that's actually the category that Hanson House falls into right now, because there is no category for the sober living type facilities that they put in. But rooming house F is what they fall under, which isn't regulated as it needs to be. The bill that they've proposed, that Assemblyman Mazzio and Armada proposed, does that. And I think once I get more comfortable with that and we can tweak that, I think that will help us. And then we will need support to get that bill passed as quickly as possible, so we can start tracking, get the businesses that are certified to do this work, these entities that are certified to do the work. They're the ones that can operate in our community. We would have to pass some regulations locally.
Yeah, but I think but just if I can just interject, the notion of the city doing some type of information sharing with the public in that way, that's a careful position to be in. You cannot have that potentially could be considered prejudice in some way. And it may seem like a reach, it may seem like we're, in your words, lying down, which I disagree with, but we are doing, and Lance is taking the lead on this, but having a town hall meeting is verboten. Having a notification to neighbors, and we're not interested in that kind of contributing to that kind of stigma. We're interested in knowing the law and following the law.
Well, and I'm interested in knowing what the laws are, so that when the community comes to us who are not beholden to
understand
the same legal perspective rules, we can at least inform them.
Right.
I can't tell you the amount of times the basic start of explaining that these various types of homes are protected by the American Disabilities Act, just to share that with a lot of our constituents, if we start with the basics,
But you know-
this is a football.
I-
So we're trying to. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Thanks, Jeff.
just to add one thing, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what everyone's saying, but I think people need to just take a little step back, because I think everybody, honestly, you need to take a little step back, because how many times have you seen things in the news or on TV, or, you don't know what's going on in your neighbor's house next to you. How many times does something come out in the paper and you're like, oh my, okay, and it's someone, this upheld, this wonderful citizen, it could be someone of a profession that's around children, and then you find out, they're a pedophile.
Let's look at it. Yeah. Let's not go
So,
down that
I mean,
route.
it's,
We got enough problems.
I'm just saying, you
Take a
don't,
step back, understand.
yeah, take a step back. You don't know what's going on in your neighbor's house. So I think we need to rethink what we're thinking here, because there's a house with 10 people. There's not a house with 6 people that all have the same DNA. We don't know what's going on, and we need to just take a little step back. Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Danielle DeVito. I live at 607 North Suffolk.
You're around the corner from me.
Yes, I am. I'm trying not to get too sad here. As a human, I'm a little embarrassed that human life, and my children would definitely beg to differ, that property taxes should have came before my life. I lived in that house for 6 months, and I would be dead right now if I didn't have that home, and I wouldn't be a mother, and I wouldn't have a job, and I wouldn't pay my water and my sewer and my electric at my house. Jennifer Hansen helped save my life. All she's doing is working on a solution, and everybody keeps trying to kick her down. The epidemic, the pandemic, people are dying every day. She's working on a solution, and you're worried about property taxes? Are you kidding me? It's disgusting, and it embarrasses me as a human being and a recovering addict. I think human life should be a little bit more valuable than that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle.
Can I run to the ladies' room real quick, or do we have to do another recess?
We have to do a reset.
Okay. I'll recess after you. I'm sorry.
I'll be very brief.
Okay.
I'm Edwina Hansen.
What's your name?
Edwina Hansen.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
Fine. First of all, I'd like to thank the people who have come out tonight to express their opinions. We've been in business a very long time, and I've learned a long time ago that behind every person that's complaining are 20 more people, and they don't have the nerve to get up and say anything. And so you can't solve problems if you don't know what all the problems are. So in that regard, I thank you, and I thank you back there for, expressing yourself. This gentleman back here said, we really don't know the difference between all the different levels of houses. And that is something that we are trying to change with this bill. The state of New Jersey has not complied with the Federal Fair Housing Act. The only way that they have complied is by many years ago given an accommodation to the Oxford houses. And they are a separate class all by themselves. They are not under class F or boarding house standards. You cannot really touch them. The only way that you could do anything is to have this credentialing agency, which allows people to know that the place that you're going to send your daughter or your son or your husband or wife, your friend, that it is a credentialed place, that they are running the sober living house by the best standards as established by NAR, which is the National Alliance of Recovery Services, recovery residences. And And they are all criteria on how to run the best sober living house for the residents, how to help them recover. The Class F license is solely a brick and mortar license. It does nothing to tell people that are trying to run a house how to help people who are in your house become productive, I'll say productive citizens of a community. So that is what we have been trying to do. We have been trying to create something that would allow our houses to operate with best practices. Jennifer came back from California over 24 years ago and said when she got back here, there's no way that people can recover in all of Atlantic County. There is no recovery here at all. And she said, well, we've got to change something. And
Was it your first place? Was it in Absecon or Galloway?
well, the first thing that we did is we opened 2 halfway houses. And they're both called Hanson houses, and they're on Alo Street. 34 beds for men, 34 beds for women. The men's house opened first, and the state couldn't believe that we could get this house up and running and do so well. We partnered with Hendricks House of Vineland, and they were the operating partner. They turned around and said, you know, would you build one for women? And they gave us the money to get most of that up. So since that time, Jennifer said, well, this is great, but I really want to get involved in the aftercare, after people have been in treatment, because that's really where all the work happens. You know, it's where people learn to live day in and day out, get a job, learn how to manage their
Food shop, cook.
food shop cook. Jennifer's written a book that's not out yet, but paragraph in the book says, you know, when people come to us, they don't know how to do legitimate work. And you could say, well, what does that mean? It means they don't know how to get up and get to a job. They don't know how to get, write a resume. They don't know how to, they don't have a good work ethic, many. And so we teach them how to do their laundry, how to grocery shop, as you say, how to be good neighbors and respectful of other people. And it is so hurtful to see your name smeared all across the people when all that you're trying to do is have the passion to help people who haven't been able to help themselves. So with that, I'll say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to do a quick reset?
Sure, motion so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
Reset?
Generates more than $11 billion a year. One of her property, maybe its most famous property, is Cosmopolitan Magazine. Cosmopolitan Magazine was yesterday support protesters who are brave enough to go out and take a stand.
Meeting.
Motion to resume the meeting?
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting is resumed. Okay. Anyone else from the chambers? I think everyone spoke, right? We're good. Everybody's left with us. Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, who's out there?
If there's anybody in the Zoom meeting who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function or note in the chat, and you will be recognized one at a time. Please do not unmute yourself until you have been recognized.
And Jim, they have to state their name and their address.
Correct. Is there anybody who wishes to speak?
I would like to speak.
Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, thank you. Name is Richard Gober, 26 North Hillside Avenue, Ventnor, New Jersey. I want to thank the young lady for doing the job she's doing. There's a couple old sayings. One is NIMBY. No one wants it in their backyard. That's much of the concern that we have this evening. Second of all, there's another one, an old saying, the realtor's field, and that is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. All we're trying to do is spread this out. I have personally worked about 20 years in Ventnor to try to make the North Beach area what it is today. We don't want to lose that. We're not opposed to the sober homes at all. We just hope that all of the people, I think personally, a town hall meeting, personally, inviting all of the other group type of homes there where the public, instead of doing this in a public meeting, which is great, but there's so many people that want to speak tonight, have an opportunity for a town hall meeting so we can learn a little better. Many people do not quite understand what Sober House stands for. Hearing those gentlemen and ladies speak of what they've gone through in their past has been fantastic. And I just want to, when the young lady starts, Ms. Hansen's looking for properties, if you have the opportunity to find them that have parking, we're going to have a movie theater open up in the near future. It seats 250 people. We're already the seashore community with parking problems. So I just believe that if we have an opportunity to possibly get together, talk about this better. And the last question I have, maybe Ms. Hansen can answer, or if not, the number of people in a residence, according to the Boca codes, are 2 people for a bedroom that's 100 square feet. I don't know, Lance, maybe you know better, if that still exists. So if you had 4 bedrooms, the maximum you could have in any type of residential housing would be 8. I don't know if that means difference for any of the social service type agencies. So I wish Ms. Hansen a tremendous amount of luck. We want to be part of the solution here. We don't want 5 on our block or within 2 blocks. We hope she can look around. I've read some of the comments, Ms. Hansen. You live in Margate. Do you like to have one on your street? You'll hear things like that, Ms. Hansen. There are people that do not understand this perfectly. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I wish her luck. I appreciate the outcome, the turnout. We have not had this large of a turnout at a meeting since we defeated the redevelopment about 18 years ago. So thank you very much for the opportunity of having the chance to speak first. Thank you.
Anyone else out there, Jim?
Okay, anybody else who wish to speak, please, please raise hand and you will be recognized.
Hand.
Yes, sir. Mark?
I would.
Mark's iPhone? You're recognized to speak?
Looks like you went on mute.
Mark, you may be muted. Unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. State your full name, sir, and your address.
Yes, Mark Wienerman, 103 South Nashville Avenue. I have a problem because I know some of these houses and the residents sit outside on the porches, they smoke, they throw the cigarette butts all over the place. They have music, the music's loud, and they're very noisy. The curse words come flying, every other word out of their mouth. We bought beach blocks, so one day we'll have grandchildren, and we'd like to walk them to the beach. I don't want to walk past a house that these residents are sitting out on the porch. I think it's very unfair, and it's going to be overcrowded. And you're also going to have the parking situation. 5 cars, I doubt that very much. I would suggest they're going to have 7 cars minimum. And that's just our opinion, what's going to happen on a situation. Does anybody know if this house is going to be knocked down?
Mrs. Hansen indicated that it is.
So they're going to knock it down and rebuild it and then have a Hansen house with 10 residents. Is that correct?
We don't know their plan.
The occupancy load is set based on the size of the bedrooms, and that is something in the law that they can only put that number in that building. So if it has 4 bedrooms, if it meets that criteria, then it's 8. If it has 5 bedrooms, they can put more. So
I was just like to know why the Hansens don't have any houses in Margate and next door to Mrs. Hansen. I mean, I tried getting an answer, but no one answered me. So now maybe my voice will be heard.
Well, I think if you want that answered, you can reach out to the Hampton House Foundation and ask them offline. This is not the appropriate time or place to ask them.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you for hearing me.
I
You're
do see
welcome.
that Jennifer provided her email in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you can reach out to Jennifer and have a conversation.
Got you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Welcome.
Anyone else, Jim?
Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak? Please raise your hand and you'll be recognized. Gregory, please unmute yourself and you can speak.
Hi, my name is Gregory Allen. I am in the 5000 building, Boardwalk. I'm fairly new to the Ventnor area. I've had I do have several properties around here and abroad. And it's very interesting to hear this debate and this discussion. One thing that has been left out, I think, and it's for seasonal owners and full-time residents, that a lot of times your home is your primary investment for a lot of people. And we're talking about different classifications. We're talking about taxes, smoking, all kinds of things. But for a lot of people, that's what this really comes down to, and the impact on that investment. I definitely understand. I mean, Ms. Hansen's points that she was bringing up, that there is a good cause and people understand that. But this is the part that impacts communities. This is the part that 10 years from now will determine how a community develops. There's a reason why, Avalon and LBI and these other places, their property value maintains. This is the kind of thing that we just have to look at longer term. And, it may not be a popular opinion, but I will be the first to say that this would present a problem for me, or a situation for me that, I would look to invest other places. And I would hate to see that as a trend. I grew up in this area. I grew up coming to the beach at Dorset. And it's a shame when any community has to face this kind of thing. It should never be a decision of money or people, and just the fact that it has to be a conversation is wrong. But the reality is it has to be. I mean, unfortunately, COVID times, everything else, the bottom line still lands on it is a financial decision for a lot of people. And that's all I would like to say. Like I said, I'm not judging on, smoking, all these other kinds of things. That's the really the minor points of this whole entire thing.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else out there, Jim?
Is anybody else from the public who wishes to speak? Please raise your hand and you will be recognized. Susan Green.
Yes, hi, thank you. My question is, how
Ma'am,
do...
you need to state your full name and your address.
Susan Green, 5000 Boardwalk.
Okay, thank you.
My question is, if the sober homes are not paying real estate taxes, how does the township make up the difference for these multitudes of homes that could be running close to $750,000 to $1 million less tax income?
They do pay taxes. They all pay real estate taxes.
They pay the same level real estate tax as everyone else, or
Yeah,
is it different for a 501c?
Nothing different for anyone when it comes to real estate taxes.
So the fact that they're 501c doesn't change their status?
No, you pay based on the assessed value of your property.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome very much. Anyone else?
Does anybody else from the public wish to speak? Ben.
Excuse me?
Please, no, Ben.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah. State your full name.
Ben Weinrob, 4907 Atlantic Avenue, among others, which is a house that I own and rent to the Hansen Foundation at the moment. And if anyone's listening, but particularly obviously the committee and Madam Mayor, the reason that we have a collection of these in this neighborhood is we all know that it's the lowest property value outside of Atlantic City on the island. And for anyone who's listening, who's still on, that has made comments about what it does to their value, it's a collection as a result of that. If Jennifer could get $1 million plus for the houses that she has, she would sell them and she would get 2 or 3 other properties she could use in other locations. You know, we need to do everything we can, as I'm sure the focus should be of the conversation, to raise everyone's property value in order to eliminate this from being a factor in the neighborhood. I have another house. I use second home. I have a child. I realized, you know, I've brought more of this into the neighborhood, but I go to the same beach. I walk by the same houses. There are houses immediately adjacent to me that are shared houses, have been shared houses for decades with more occupants than the Hansons' properties. They have all the same issues. My house happens to have 5 off-street parking spots. Theirs does not. They bring more cars because every single couple who rents in the shared house brings a car. You know, the houses are not maintained in the neighborhood the way they could be. You know, I've been issued violations. I've corrected violations. In that process, I've walked around the block on the property that I rent to the Hansons and found that 86% of the houses had at least one violation similar to what I was written up on. 40% had more than one. 20% had a handful. Walk to the beach block on that block, 72% of the houses have violations. This is why the property values are not what they should be in North Beach, and why these things occur in the neighborhood. If we all work together, keep the properties up, fix the issues, it raises the property values, and therefore it's no longer economically desirable for them to run these houses in that neighborhood. They will move on to cheaper neighborhoods. It's that simple. That is where the focus of this conversation should be, rather than a discriminatory one that is illegal, that I don't know who's the legal counsel and advising, but it should not be present, you know, in the city. We should not even be having this conversation, as Jennifer mentioned.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, anybody else from the public who wishes to speak? Ben, you have one more comment?
Yes, it was mentioned that Airbnb is also legal in Ventnor, which is the bigger problem in disruptive neighbors. I don't know if Ventnor's changed their rental laws. I've commented on this before, but as far as I'm concerned and the way I've handled my renters, you need a C of O in between every renter. If an Airbnb is renting for a nightly or a weekend, they need to get a C of O nightly or for every 2 nights in order to legally do that in Ventnor. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
So that you've changed the law.
So it's a short-term rental. If they're turning over every weekend, that's not something we require them to get. They have to be inspected every year. We set an occupancy load to that building. We now have a registration process that we brought in an outside company to manage for us. They also research, they data mine the internet to find Airbnbs or VRBOs. Short-term rental is the proper terminology. Airbnb is a brand name, VRBO is a brand name. It's like Kleenex and Xerox.
Understood.
Immaculate. But the short-term rentals, so we have an entity out there, and you're required to get a mercantile license. You have to be inspected. And that mercantile, I think, goes for $100 a year or something like that. That's probably going to get increased in the coming months that I'm going to push for to cover the costs of the outside agency that's doing this work for us. But they will then monitor those properties, make sure that the numbers are not exceeded in the unit. Also monitor noise complaints, something I'll be bringing to the commission at our next meeting, increase the contract for them to monitor these types of things. But the inspections, we don't require them because we literally couldn't do that every weekend to have an inspector. We don't have that kind of a department here.
Right, but that's how the law currently reads, is that in between every tenant, and there is no distinction between short-term or if there has been one made, what is the definition of short term? Is it 364 days or is it
It's under
an
30
hour?
days.
Under 30 days.
Under 30 days,
So that's been added to the city's code.
2 years ago.
Okay.
At least 18 months, maybe 2 years ago.
And from a public safety standpoint, we do not have a issue with the short-term rentals. They have sporadic cases, and when we do, we address them. We have over 250 short-term rentals active, roughly. that number.
Roughly, there's probably another 100 that have not registered that we're finding out now.
And we have maybe 2 or 4 a season that
That have an issue.
that have an issue.
So
So
one thing that Airbnb itself did as a company, and that is, I'm using their name because they did it, you can no longer rent for one night.
Right.
They stopped that across their portfolio of properties, so you can no longer. rent.
5209 Winchester Avenue has been renting for one night. They did it all this summer. There were several complaints from several neighbors. Still an ongoing situation. The landlord doesn't live in Ventnor.
We're aware of that site, and each time the police is called, it's noticed, it's noted, and issues are resolved with that tenant. This is what I want to have added to, and I forget the name of the company. What's the name of it? Host Compliance, where we're going to add to their contract that they will now track this for us. And if someone has 3 violations against them in a period of time that we will set, we can revoke their mercantile license and shut down that property as a rental property.
I look forward to it. I appreciate those efforts. Just to come full circle, 4907 Atlantic was vacant. It also had squatters. I heard Jennifer talk about a property that is in that circumstance. Also something that can greatly reduce this situation is not having vacant properties, not having squatters, and not destroying buildings that either need to be, as I did, spend hundreds of thousands in order to try to restore what was left, or houses be torn down out of neglect.
Thanks, Ben. Some good comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, is anybody else from the audience who wishes to speak?
Okay. Do I have a motion to close public portion?
Nothing, Jim?
Nope, nobody.
Okay, motion to close public portion?
Do I have a second?
second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We do not have an executive session, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Nice job.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Agenda on